Hey guys, it's Andy, and I'm glad to be with you again this week as we continue our series of God Time devotionals in the Gospel of Mark. We only have two left, today and tomorrow. It's been a lot of fun for me to get to go through this series with you. Now, as you look at this passage in Mark 15, I want you to think about it in light of Hebrews 12, verses 1 through 3. I want to read that to you. The verses I'm going to read come after a lengthy list in Hebrews 11, where the author of Hebrews has listed so many of the heroes of the faith. And this is what he writes. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Now, there are so many good things in these verses in Hebrews 12, but I just want you to especially focus on verse 2. For the joy set before him, Jesus endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. And I just want you to consider a question. Why did Jesus go to the cross? Now, we've talked about this question on several other occasions, but I think it's interesting for us to consider that as Jesus was in physical agony on the cross from the suffering he had endured at the hands of his persecutors, as Jesus was in spiritual agony on the cross, as he felt the weight of the world's sin being somehow transferred upon his shoulders, and for the first time he felt a gap open up between himself and his Father, as he cried, my God, why have you forsaken me? As all of this was happening to Jesus, Hebrews 12:2 says that for the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So, what was that joy that was set before Jesus? What was it? Was it sitting at the right hand of God? Was it being restored to his former glory in heaven? Well, while that might be part of the answer, we have to remember that Jesus already had those things before he ever came to earth. I don't think Jesus was motivated by simply getting back what he had previously possessed. I think Jesus was motivated by gaining something new. I believe the joy that held Jesus to the cross was his knowledge that through his death, our sins would be forgiven. This would bring glory to his Father and would allow us to receive salvation. Jesus was willing to endure the cross for you and for me. In a sense, we are the joy that was set before him. We are the reward Jesus gave his life to acquire. Jesus allowed himself to experience unimaginable suffering on the cross, not because he knew it would allow him to enter into his Father's presence, because he knew that it was the only way we would ever be able to enter into his Father's presence. The joy set before Jesus was his Father's glory and our salvation. This is what allowed Jesus to endure the shame and the pain of dying on the cross. Now, because we know how the story of Jesus ends up, it can be easy for us to gloss over the last verses in Mark 15. But we have to try and imagine what it would have been like for all of Jesus' followers as Jesus breathes his last breath and his body is placed in the tomb. They had to have been devastated. We can see from the story that they are. They had placed all of their hopes and dreams on Jesus, and now he was gone seemingly forever. That's just how life and death work. When someone's dead, they're dead forever. In the midst of the grief as they were traveling back to wherever they were staying that night, I wonder if there was a small part of them that was thinking about the jeers that Jesus had heard when he was on the cross. He saved others, but he can't save himself. Those words must have felt really true that night. After all, he had raised Lazarus from the dead, but couldn't do it for himself. And yet, we understand that although Jesus could have saved himself, somehow, by staying on the cross, he saved all of us. His Father redeemed his suffering by granting us the opportunity to receive salvation. And in so doing, Jesus gives all of us a model for how to view our own seasons of pain and misery. Now, we can't save anyone like Jesus did, but we can have faith just like Jesus did, faith that our Father in heaven will redeem our suffering. That's what he's doing in the midst of our pain. He's going to bring about something good. In our own lives, we are called to take up our own crosses. And I believe that in tough times of life, the words of Hebrews 12, 1 through 3 can apply to us as well as they applied to Jesus. So let me read those words to you one more time. But this time, it is my prayer for you. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us set our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. God bless you guys. We'll wrap up our series tomorrow.